Hi yogis, welcome to Yoga Flow. I'm Leslie. Today for this class we're going to be working on finding stability in the hips and in the shoulders. So yes, we will be working on mobility as we always do, almost always do in yoga, but we're also going to look at creating stability within that mobility so that we're not potentially setting ourselves up for injury. So we're going to do that by focusing on the part of our body that is in foundation with the ground. So if we're standing, that would be our feet. If we're in, for perhaps like downward dog, that would be our hands. So that's how we're going to approach finding stability within movement and mobility. So we'll just start here in a seated position. So you can sit kneeling or you can sit cross-legged, however you're comfortable. We'll need a couple of blocks for today's practice, so if you want to have a block for this part of getting ourselves centered, you can place a block right between your feet and sit on that, and that might feel a little nicer on your ankles and your knees. So let's just start by grounding ourselves and finding a smooth, even breath rhythm. So just really connecting consciously with your breath. Breathe through the nose. Let the hands just rest somewhere on your lap. The spine rise up tall. You feel this natural alignment and elongation in the spine. So your head is centered over the top of your spine is centered over the bowl of your pelvis, over your sacrum, actually. Soften down through the shoulders. Let's do a few more breaths here. So you're really establishing a rhythm for your breathing that is conscious and steady, full, and continuous, and you'll just keep that rhythm for the duration of this class. And sometimes the breath will speed up a little bit if we're doing something that's more physically challenging. Sometimes the breath will slow down, but you're still keeping this steady, smooth, even pace. One more breath. So remember, we're going to try to keep that smooth, even breath, and we're going to come into a squat. So a couple little points here. If your knees are not quite warmed up, or if they're stiff, just in general, or your hips, this is what your squat will probably look like, where your thighs are going to be more parallel to the floor. Your hips are higher, maybe about knee height, and your forearms just rest on your knees. Your feet will be a little wider than hips distance, your toes turned out. If it's comfortable for you, you let the hips come down. So they're just hovering off the floor, palms come together in front of your heart. And then try to draw the thumbs towards your heart, but lift up through the spine. So you're as if you're trying to lean your spine back against a wall behind you. And then place the hands on the floor as you exhale. Lift your hips, heel, toe your feet, hips distance apart. Inner edges of your feet are parallel, folding Uttanasana. Let the head just start to descend downwards. Hands can be on blocks here, or your knees can be bent, or both. And then turn your toes out again, take the feet a little wider, and lower your hips down to the squat, either halfway down or fully down into the squat. And then interlace your fingers, reach your arms up, and then keep the weight in your heels. We're going to rise up to standing. So weight in the heels, try to lean back a little bit, and then rise up slow. Be steady in both of your feet. And then exhale, come right back down into a squat. Palms come together. Bring the hands to the floor, straighten the legs, exhale. Heel toe your feet under your hips, parallel your feet, Uttanasana. Take one more breath here. Actually bend your knees and reach your spine halfway forward. Exhale and fold to Uttanasana. Turn your toes out, take your feet a little wider, lower the hips down to a squat. So I'm going to mirror you for this next sequence. So you'll start with your right knee or your right foot, actually lift the heel, pivot on the ball of the foot so the knee comes in towards you, and just tap the knee down. And then pivot the knee back out again and lower the heel. Now lift your left heel. Pivot on the ball of the foot and bring the knee down into an internal rotation. Take the knee back out and place the heel down. So when you're moving one leg, the other leg is going to be, foot will be firmly planted. So if we're moving through the right foot, lift the heel, pivot on the ball of the right foot, you're pushing down into the left foot. Internally rotate the leg until the knee comes down. Keep pushing into the left foot as you bring the right heel back down. And then lift the left heel. So now you're in foundation with the right foot. Internally rotate that leg. I know it's a lot of work for the legs. Bring the knee back up and place the heel down. Hands to the floor, lift your hips, heel toe your feet under the hips, parallel to each other, Uttanasana. Bend your knees halfway forward, inhale. Exhale and fold. So I know that movement with the legs in that squat is a lot of work. We're going to add on to it. Turn your toes out, lower your hips, come into a squat. Starting with the right leg. Lift the heel, pivot on the ball of the foot until the knee comes all the way down. And then come upright and take your left leg directly out to the side and side bend over your left leg into your gate pose. Inhale, come back upright in your spine. Bring the left foot back to where it was, slightly turned out, push down into that left foot. Rotate on the ball of the foot, knee comes out, lower the right heel. Other side. So lift your left heel, rotate on the ball of the foot and lower the left knee down. You're pushing down into your right foot. When the knee is all the way down, come upright. Take the right foot out to the side, straight out to the side, arms out. And exhale, side, bend over the right leg. Inhale, come back up. Replace the right foot where it was, toes turned out, push down into that foot, and then you pivot the left knee out and lower the hips. Hands to the floor, lift your hips, forward fold, heel toe your feet in under you, feet are parallel. Bend your knees, lengthen halfway forward. Exhale and fold. Stay here with your feet parallel, bend your knees, come into a chair pose, reach your arms up. Now widen your feet, keep them parallel, but have them a little wider than hips distance. And now reach your arms forward, stick your butt way back. All right, take your arms back behind you. Pivot on your feet to the right. Bring your left knee down. Come on upright, and you can bring your right foot forward just so it stays under the knee, coming into your low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, let's twist this over the right knee. So palms together in a prayer pose, in a low lunge twist. Come back up, arms behind you. So you're going to bring your right foot back under you a bit. Pick up your back knee, pivot your toes so they point forward. Reach your arms forward. We're just in a chair pose, stick the butt back, reach the arms forward, and then sweep the arms back behind you. Pivot your toes to the left. Slowly lower the right knee down. It's a lot of leg strength, maybe not a lot, some leg strength, to find those slow, controlled movements. Your left foot will come forward so it's under the knee. Inhale, your arms reach up into this nice open, low lunge. And then palms come together and you twist over your left knee, bringing the right elbow outside the left knee. Come back upright, arms behind you. You're going to walk your left foot under you a little more. Stick the butt back a little bit. Pick up your right knee. Feet point forward in your chair. Reach your arms forward. Last time, inhale. And hands to the floor, forward fold. And just heel toe the feet back under you. So let's end up standing in a forward fold at the top of the mat if you're not already there. I know I was on a different angle on my mat. So we're all at the top of the mat here, forward fold. Inhale, bend your knees and lengthen halfway forward. And then step your feet back to a downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to the floor so you're in an all fours position. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. So you're just finding your cat-cow. Inhale and arch. Exhale and round. Arch through the spine. And exhale, round. So you're going to have the tops of the feet on the floor. Find a neutral spine. Take the right leg back behind you. Lift it higher than hip level. Look forward. And then place the ball of the right foot down so your right leg is in a plank pose. Lift up your left shin and knee, but push down through the top of the foot. Coming into a downward dog shape, pushing the top of the foot down. Lower the left knee down. Inhale the right leg and look forward. Exhale, lower the ball of the foot down. Lift the knee, push down into the top of the left foot. Lower the knee down. So it was starting to look like a rocking horse action. Lift up your right leg, look forward. Place the ball of the foot down and lift the knee and the shin. Push the foot down and lower all the way down. Pick the back leg up, look forward. Swing the right leg behind you to the left and look out over your left shoulder. So you're looking towards your inner right heel. Swing the leg back behind you and bring the knee down. Just bring the hands back towards the back of your mat, hands to the floor. Have your fingers pointing back, sit back on your heels, and then lift up through the heart and lift your hips. Push down through the tops of the feet, even through the toenails. And exhale, lower your hips down. All right, walk your hands back forward underneath your shoulders. Left leg, inhale, lift it behind you, look forward. Exhale, place the ball of the left foot down. Push into the hands, lift the right shin and the right knee, and you're pushing down into the top of the foot. Hips are high. And then lower your right knee down. Inhale, lift your left leg and look forward. Make sure that your left toes are pointing down. Place the ball of the left foot down, push into the hands, lift the right knee and the shin. So we're just stretching through the right foot. Lower the knee down, slowly lift your left leg, look forward. Exhale, ball of the foot down. Last time, push into the hands, lift the right knee and the right shin. Lower the knee down. Lift your left leg, inhale. And then bring the leg back to parallel, swing it behind you to the right at a diagonal. Ball of the foot is pressing down. Look out over your right shoulder towards your back heel. And then swing your left leg back behind you and bring the knee down. And again, walk the hands back to the back of your mat. Hands to the floor under your shoulders. Push into the tops of the feet, lift your hips, inhale. Exhale, lower the hips down. Okay. Walk your hands forward to the front of your mat and come all the way down to your belly. So this is just going to be some nice little movement here. So really what we've just been doing is warming up. We haven't been working too much on creating that stability except for our squats. So we're just getting a little more warming up through the back here. So setting up for a Cobra Pose. Let's inhale and lift up into Cobra. Exhale, lower your chest down and slide your arms forward, bend your knees, take your inner heels together. Reach up through your thighs like you're trying to touch your soles of your feet to the ceiling. And then lower the thighs down, lower the feet down, slide the hands back in under your shoulders. Lift up into Cobra. You're pushing into the tops of your feet as you lift up, elbows stay bent. Exhale, lower down. Slide your hands forward. Maybe find a diamond shape with your index and thumb fingers. Bend your knees. Bring the inner edges of your feet together. Inhale, lift your thighs. Lift your knees, lift your thighs. Place the thighs down, straighten the legs. Slide the hands back under your shoulders. Do this one more time. Inhale, rise up to Cobra Pose. Try to keep your elbows from going way out to the side. Lower back down, exhale. Slide your hands forward, bend your knees, heels together. Lift your legs up with your knees bent. I know it's hard to get up too high. Lower the knees down. Straighten the legs, slide the hands under you. We're adding on. So let's lift up to Cobra, stay here. Roll your right shoulder back and shift over to your left hip. Look over your right shoulder. Roll your left shoulder back, shift over to your right hip. Look over your left shoulder. Come back through center, inhale. Exhale, lower your chest down. Keep your hands where they are under your shoulders, bend your right knee. Push into the right hand, roll onto the left hip, and tap the right foot to the floor behind your left leg. and then lower the right thigh down and straighten the leg. Bend your left knee. You push into the left hand, roll to the right hip, and tap the left foot to the floor behind you. And then lower the hip, lower the leg. Reach your arms forward, find the diamond shape, bend your knees. Inhale, lift your thighs up off the floor, straight up. Lower the thighs down, slide the hands under your shoulders. Let's do this through this one more time. Rise up to Cobra, inhale. Roll the right shoulder back, come over to the left hip, look over your right shoulder. Roll back through center, roll the left shoulder back, come onto the right hip, look over your left shoulder. Come back through center, Cobra. Lower yourself down. Keep the hands where they are. Bend the right knee. Push into the right hand, roll to the left hip, tap the right foot to the floor behind you, and then lower the right leg and hip down, bend the left knee. Push into the left hand, roll over onto the right hip, tap the left foot behind you, and then roll yourself down. Okay, rise up to all fours, inhale, and come into Child's Pose, exhale. Find your smooth, even breath here. Just letting the low back lengthen out. Letting the hip sockets soften for a moment. Rise up to all fours and let's come into downward facing dog. Okay, so here you can alternate bending your knees here if you'd like. Reach forward through your toes. Maybe you're just pawing the floor with your feet. And now let your legs be still in your downward dog. Inhale, your right leg rises behind you. Open the hip up and bend the knee, scorpion dog. Straighten the legs, square the hips. Step the right foot outside the right hand. Inhale, your right arm reaches up and twist. Start to turn your right toes out. Make sure your left hand is under the shoulder or slightly forward of the shoulder. Start to heel toe your right foot down the mat. Come onto the outer edge of your left foot. And now we are in a side plank variation. It's the kickstand variation of side plank. So you want your right foot directly under the knee. The toes are turned out. Let's lift the hip up. Even come up onto the ball of the right foot as you reach your top arm up and over. And then inhale, let the hips come down a bit as you sweep your right arm towards the back. Inhale, lift up the hips, come onto the ball of your front foot. Your arm reaches up and over. Exhale, your hips come down a little bit. Keep your left arm externally rotated. So lift the hips, come onto the ball of your right foot, reach your right arm up and over. And exhale, lower the hips. And let's take the hips all the way down. You might need, or the left hip all the way down. You might need to heel toe your right foot down until the hip comes down. And then grab your right foot with your right hand and slide the heel right up against the mid-thigh of your bottom leg. Okay. Lower your left forearm down. Your left forearm is going to be at an angle here. Here's the action. There's going to be some triceps, some obliques, and some inner thigh work. So let's start with a forearm side plank variation. So let's lift up through your top arm, lift your hips, push into the ball of your right foot and come into a forearm side plank. And then exhale, lower your hips down. Keep the hip down, just straighten through your left arm, lift up and try to tap your bottom foot. So you're lifting your bottom leg, you're trying to tap the hand to the foot. Lower the bottom leg, lower your left elbow. And then come into your forearm side plank, lift your hips. Exhale, lower the hip down. Keep the hip down, but straighten the arm under you and lift your bottom leg. Maybe tap the toe with your hand. Lower the leg, lower the elbow. Inhale, lift back up into your forearm side plank. Hip comes up off the floor. Lower the hip last time. And then straighten the arm under you. Lift up, maybe lift your bottom leg, tap the foot, and lower that down. Stay up, stay upright. Walk yourself all the way upright. So you're facing the right side of the mat, even your right toes face the right side of the mat, and then come forward, just lean your spine forward towards the right. So your body is perpendicular in a L shape. Your spine is perpendicular to your bottom leg, and it's a stretch here through the right side of the low back. Let's come up. Unwind this pose so you're ending up in the Sphinx pose. So land Come down on your forearms. Even out your lower body behind you. And just rise up through the crown of the head, through the base of the skull. Isometrically drag your forearms back towards you. Widen your elbows out and lower down. Exhale. Hands come under your shoulders. Push up to all fours. Inhale. And back to downward facing dog. Exhale. Find a few smooth, even breaths. Lift your left leg behind you. Inhale, open the hip and bend the knee. Straighten the legs, square the hip. And step the left foot outside the left fingertip. Let's rise up through the left arm. So in this sequence, we're finding stability in the shoulder that's supporting us, and also some mobility. So we want to externally rotate this arm by pointing the right bicep forward. Start to lower your the outer edge of your right foot down and heel toe your left foot down until the foot is under the knee. And here we are in our side plank kickstand variation. If the heel of the hand is under and slightly behind the shoulder, it's not going to feel as nice on the shoulder. So you're going to want the heel of the hand to be under, maybe even slightly forward. That's my preference of the shoulder. So let's lift up through the hips. Come up onto the ball of the left foot, reach your top arm up and over, and then exhale, lower the hip but not all the way down. Sweep your left arm back. Inhale, lift up. Keep a strong internal or external, strong external rotation to the right arm. Exhale and just lower the hip a few inches. Maybe the hips are moving about 6 inches or so. Lift up on the inhale, even lift the heel of your left foot. Exhale, lower the hip, and we're going to take the hip all the way down. So heel toe your left foot down a bit until you can comfortably bring the right hip down under you. And then you're going to grab a hold of this ankle and slide the heel in so it intersects with the middle of your thigh. Lower it down onto your right forearm. Okay, so your right forearm is going to be angled off to the side here. So we're going to come in and out of that forearm side plank and this inner thigh lift. It's a tricep push up and an inner thigh lift, and it gets the obliques too. So let's start with the forearm side plank. Forgot what that pose was called. So push down into this foot that's on the floor. Lift your hips up. Inhale and reach your top arm up and over. Exhale, lower the hip all the way down. Push into your hand and lift your elbow, lift your spine, and lift your bottom leg. Maybe tap the toe, and then lower the leg, lower the elbow. Inhale, lift up into side plank, lifting up the hip off the floor. Exhale, lower the right hip down. And then straighten your arm, press yourself up, lift your bottom leg, maybe tap the toe, lower it down one more time. Inhale up into a forearm side plank. Exhale, take it down. Hip stays down. Lift up your bottom leg and your arm in front of you and lower down. Okay, now we're going to come all the way up with the spine. Your left toes are still turned over to the left side of your mat, and you're going to lean your upper body towards the left side. So the hands are under the shoulders, and mostly the stretch is in the quadratus lumborum. It's the side of the back, probably for you, the left side. Come back up, inhale, and you're just going to come down onto your belly, just releasing both legs back behind you, press up into Sphinx. So you have your forearms under you, forearms are parallel. Can you check that your legs and your hips are even underneath you? And then push down through the forearms, isometrically drag them back and lift up through the crown of your head. We're going to end up in a dolphin pose in a moment, so I have my hands off the mat, so if you need to, go ahead and walk yourself back until you have your hands on the mat. And then let's lift up again into Sphinx. So we're not coming into dolphin just yet, we'll be there in a moment. Exhale, look down the front of your body, lift the navel off the floor, lift the hips, lift the thighs. So your knees are down, look down towards your knees, and then exhale, lower the thighs and the hips and the navel, look forward, Sphinx pose. Exhale, look down the front of your body, lift the navel, lift the hips, lift the thighs. It's almost like a forearm plank, but the knees are down. And then you lower first the thighs, the hips, the lower belly, look forward. A couple more like this. Exhale, just peeling yourself up off of the floor. Look towards your knees and then lower first the thighs, the hips, the navel, look forward. One more time. Exhale, peel up away from the floor. Now curl your toes under. Lift your knees, forearm plank. Now start to bend your knees, walk your forearms back under you, take your hips up higher, walk your feet forward a little bit, and now here's your dolphin pose. Push the palms into the floor, spread your fingers, try to move your ribs back towards your thighs. Keep your knees bent, your thigh creases moving up and back. Okay, you're still pushing the base of your thumbs down. Now you can either come into down dog from this position or lower your knees first. To come into down dog safely, look forward. Push the inner edge of your hands into the floor. Slowly lift your arms until you can straighten them. We don't want to jam your arms straight. We definitely don't want to hyperextend through the elbow. So if you know you're a very hyperextendy, mobile, joint mobile person, just if you know that's true about yourself, find a very, very soft bend in the elbows. I know it's going to feel weird, but we want to keep your joints safe ultimately. Okay. Here we go. Let's inhale the right leg behind you, open the hip and bend the knee. We're going to take this into wild things. So it's a very slow, controlled movement. You don't just flop your right foot down onto the floor, to the left. You go slowly. So start to roll to the outer edge of the left foot. Slowly peel your right hand off the floor and bring the right foot to the floor behind you. Wild thing. And then lift your hips up and reach your top arm out. All right, we're going to take this into fallen triangle. So you start to rotate your top hip back around. Bring the right hand down. Bring the right knee under you to the left. Lower your inner heel of your back foot. Lift up your left leg and straighten your right leg forward. You can always do this with the foot down on the floor or lifted. Back into wild thing. Bend the knee. Place the left hand down. Lift the hip up high. Lift the knee. Open the hip. Scorpion dog. Slowly take the outer edge of your left foot down. Slowly place the right foot down. It's a slow, controlled movement. Strong external rotation to your left arm. Lift your hips. Reach up and back with the right arm. Slowly roll back down. Right hand comes down. Right hip comes down. Bring the right knee under you and over to the left. Lift up your left arm. Back up and around. Right, left hand down. Right knee up. Right hip up. Open the hip. Stay here. We're not going to do wild thing. We're going to move on. Straighten the legs. Square the hip. Step forward between your hands. Rise up to crescent warrior. Inhale. Lower your back heel. Find warrior warrior one. Interlace the hands behind you. Inhale, lift up through the heart. Try to move their knuckles down your back leg. This should feel nice after that last side plank sequence. And then humble warrior. Let the right shoulder come to the knee. The head releases down. The arms move away from your back. Lower your hands down to the floor. Grab a block. We'll do a revolved triangle here. So block under your left hand. Bring your left foot forward just an inch or two. Left hand is under the shoulder. Right arm opens up. Revolved triangle pose. So a block under your left hand will help here. This is a difficult pose to hold while minimizing tension at the same time, or minimizing resistance. So if you find that you're struggling with the pose, and this is a pose that a lot of people will struggle with, it's a tricky one, use the block under your left hand. Lower your right hand down. Bend your front knee. And let's just step this forward to a forward fold. The head soften down. Bend your knees, inhale, lengthen halfway forward. Step back to plank pose. We're going to move through a vinyasa. You can do knees down if you prefer. Shift forward, shoulders over fingers, bend your elbows, chaturanga. Keep the thighs hovering. Inhale to upward dog or cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. Just breathe here for a moment, reconnecting to your breath. Inhale, your left leg rises behind you. Open the hip and bend to the knee, scorpion dog. So make sure that you have the room on the right side of your mat. And then hopefully there aren't any props there in the way when your foot comes down into wild thing. So very slow, controlled transfer into wild thing. So lower the outer right heel, slowly bring your left foot down to the floor behind you. Lift your hips up and reach out through the top arm. And then slowly bring your left foot back up. Hip comes up and around, right left hand comes down. Bring the left knee under you over to the right. Straighten your left leg over to the right. Reach up through the right arm. And then back to wild thing. So right hand comes down. Left knee comes under you. Lift up the hip, bend the knee on the left side. Start to roll to the outer edge of the right foot. Lift up the left hand as you place the left foot down softly. Lift your hips. So very slow and controlled flow. And then back around, lifting the foot, lifting the left hip, lower the hand, and then bring the left knee under you, lift the right arm, extend the left leg over to the right. One more time, or actually no, we're going to move on. So lift the left hip up, bend the knee, pause here. We're not going to do wild thing. Straighten the legs, square the hip, inhale, exhale, step the left foot between your hands, rise up to crescent, inhale, the arms reach up, and then lower your back heel, find a warrior two. So in a I said that again, warrior one. So in warrior one, there's a lateral channel between your feet, which means that your heels are not lined up like you're standing on a tightrope. There's a little bit of a channel there. Let's take the arms down behind us, interlace the fingers. Inhale, knuckles move down the back leg, heart lifts up, look up. Exhale, slowly hinge forward, left shoulder to knee, head releases down, arms move up and away from your back. Push down into your left foot and just bring your hands to the floor. All right, Revolve Triangle. Place the block under your right hand. Bring your right foot in just an inch or two so you can straighten your left leg. Keep the right hand under the shoulder. Start to turn to the left and lift your left arm up. So again, very limber. Sometimes we call them the double jointed. We don't even really know what that means anymore. It was a phrase we used when I was a kid. Because my sister was very limber and she could lock out her limbs, her joints, and hyperextend them. So if you know that's true of you, don't try to jam this left leg straight. Try to keep a little bit of a micro bend behind the knee. Let's lower the left hand down. Bend the left knee, step forward, Uttanasana. Let the head release. Bend your knees, lengthen halfway forward. Step back to plank pose. Pause here, inhale. Shift your shoulders forward, lower, so you bend your elbows, chaturanga, inhale. Upward facing dog or cobra, shoulders back, exhale, downward facing dog. Okay. Next sequence. Take your feet wide towards the edges of your mat. Shift forward to a plank pose and reach your right arm forward. So your hips are level to the floor. Reach your right arm out to the side. Now take your heels down to the left and reach your right arm up. Exhale, lift the heels again. Take the right arm out to the right. And then take the right arm under you as your hips come up into a down dog shape. You're twisting. You're taking your right hand to the left shin. Inhale, come back forward to plank with the right arm out. Take the heels to the left and lift your right arm up. Exhale, back to the plank, right arm out to the side. Same exhale, right arm comes under you, hips come up, twisted, downward dog. One more time, arm out to the side in plank. Heels roll down to the left, arm reaches up. Exhale, arm out to the side. Downward dog with the right arm under you. And then slowly, slowly take your knees down to the floor. Don't let them just slam down. And take your right arm all the way over to the left and just come into your thread the needle pose. You can take your left arm around, maybe fingers come into the opposite thigh crease. One more breath. And then take your left arm forward beyond the top edge of your mat, and then unwind your right arm, reach that alongside your left arm, and here we are in puppy pose. So the knees are under the hips, the sit bones point up, reach your arms as long as you can in front of you, and then let the ribs soften down. And I'm popped up onto all 10 finger pads. I find that creates more space in my shoulders. Try to rotate the biceps up. Lift yourself up, take the hands under you, and come into downward dog. All right, other side, take your feet wide. So we're moving through these motions very slowly, and we're trying to stabilize the hand and the shoulder that is in connection with the floor the whole time. So that's where we find the stability in the body. If we start moving around in a jerky way and we don't create that strong connection in the supporting arm, then we can potentially injure ourselves. Okay? So start to shift forward to plank pose and reach your left arm forward. So notice how your right hand, the fingers should be spread. You're actually pushing your finger pads down. Externally rotate that arm so your bicep is pointing forward. Now take your left arm out to the side. Roll your heels down to the right and lift your left arm up, side plank. Back into plank, lift your heels, take the left arm out to the left, and then take the left arm under you as the hips come up in your down dog twist, holding the opposite, the right shin with your left hand. And then shift back forward to plank with the arm out to the side. Heels to the right, lift your left arm up, side plank. Lift your heels, arm out to the left. Lift your hips up as the arm comes under you to the opposite shin. Back to plank, arm out to the side. Heels down to the right, arm comes up. Keep that external rotation in your right arm. All right, now arm out to the side. Lift your hips, down dog. Stay here in your twist. Left hand to the right shin. Slowly lower your knees down. Keep the left arm under you to the right. Maybe slide the shoulder all the way to the floor. And if you like that shoulder stretch, wrap the right arm around behind your hips. Maybe wiggle the fingers into the opposite outer thigh crease. Unwind your right arm, reach it forward towards the top edge of your mat. Unwind your left arm, reach that forward as well. Both arms are parallel. And then your hips are up over your knees, reach your hips, sit bones back, push down through your finger pads, and soften the ribs down. That's the key. If you can keep the arms lifted, the biceps rotating up, but your ribs are softening down, that's what's going to really get into the shoulders. Lift your ribs up. Walk the hands under you. Let's give the wrists a little bit of a break here. Sit back on your heels, interlace your fingers, and just press down through the knuckles and lift up through the heart. Now try to squeeze your palms in towards each other. That's where we get that wrist release. You're pressing your finger pads in between each knuckle and trying to push the heels of your hands towards each other. Release your hands. Place them back to the top of the mat, come into downward dog. Inhale, lift your right leg behind you. Step the right foot between your hands. Set your blocks up so they are at the top of the mat and they're up in the high position, and then rise yourself up to crescent warrior, arms reach up. Just be here for a moment. So if you're on a carpeted floor, like I am, this next sequence is going to be challenging. As challenging as it is, we're going to be moving in and out of two balanced poses. So a carpeted floor, your foot is going to be more wobbly. So just take that into consideration. If your balance is just not there, give yourself a break. We'll give it a try anyway. If we tumble out of it, that's fine. So place your hands down onto the blocks. And then come onto your right foot, straighten the right leg. So you're in a warrior 3 shape, but your hands are on the blocks. Your back leg is parallel and your spine is parallel to the floor. Now bend your left knee and pin your inner thighs together. Push down into the right foot, come up to standing. Bring the left knee with you. Let's twist to the left. And then you swing your left arm up and over your head. Take your left leg back. Bring your left hand down onto the block and lift your right arm. So revolved half moon pose to an upright balance twist. So leading with your left arm, come upright, swing the arm back as your knee comes forward. Or if you want to if you have this flexibility, straighten your left leg and hold the big toe. Back to revolved half moon. So bend the left knee, circle the left arm up and over your head, and then down onto the block. Extend the left leg behind you. Open up through the right arm as you twist. One more time through. Push down into the right foot. Bring your left knee forward and your left arm back. Maybe if you want, you hold the knee or extend the leg and hold the foot as you twist to the left. We're just going to take this back to a warrior two now. So release the foot if you have it and step your left foot back to warrior two. Double check your alignment, that the knee is not forward of the ankle on the right side. And your knee is pointing forward and your shoulders are softened down. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Straighten your front leg. Exhale, triangle pose. Reach up through the top arm. You can grab the block and have your hand on that if you like, or hand on shin. I actually prefer hand on block for this, because hand on shin is fine, but if you can really push the hand, your right hand, down into something, it frees up some more space, I find, in this right hip socket. So we can extend through the spine, push into the back foot. Breathe. And then bend your front knee. Lower your hands down, level your hips, runner's lunge, and downward facing dog. Smooth, even breaths here. If you want to move through a vinyasa here, you can. That's fine. Let's do about 3 more breaths. Are you finding an ujjayi breath so you can hear your own breath? You're breathing through the nose. And then we'll move on to the left side. So inhale, your left leg rises behind you, 3-legged dog. Exhale, your left foot steps between your hands. Inhale, up to crescent warrior. Arms reach up. And then touch your hands down onto the blocks. Blocks are on the high position. Take your right leg directly behind you so your hips are level. Your right hip point is rotated down. Your spine is long, your back leg is long. And then bend your right knee and pin your inner thighs together. Come up to balancing, standing on your left foot. Bring your right knee forward. Take your right arm back. So you can just start by checking your balance, starting with the knee bent, right knee bent as you twist. Maybe the next 2 times through, you'll want the legs straight. So let's come into revolved half moon. So your right arm swings up and over as your leg comes back. Place the hand on a block and reach up through your left arm. And it'll be helpful if the block is directly under the right shoulder. All right, and then leading with your right arm, swing it up and back as you come upright. Take your right knee forward, or straighten the leg and hold on to the foot. You're twisting to the right. Now, bend the knees, swing the right arm up and around and down onto the block, right leg back, left arm up. Parivrita Ardha Chandrasana. And last time through. So, right leg forward, right arm circles up and back. Maybe the leg is straight, maybe the knee is bent. You're twisting to the right. And if you have the foot, release it and take the foot back to warrior two. Placing the foot down softly. Just double check. Your shin should be vertical. Maybe it's slightly angled back. If your foot is a little bit forward of the knee, that would be better than having the knee forward of the foot. And have the inner edge of your left knee pointing forward. Relax the shoulders. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Straighten your front leg. Exhale, triangle pose. Again, hand to shin or hand to block. And the block might also feel a little nicer on the low back because it takes some of the tension out of the back because you're more weight bearing on this bottom hand. Push into the inner edge of your front foot. Push into the outer edge of your back foot. Lengthen the spine. Bend your front knee. Find a runner's lunge. Downward facing dog. Or vinyasa is optional if you would like. Or even rest in child's pose. And then we'll all lower our knees down to the floor. And take a seat towards the back of your mat. So let's start with our legs in a Z shape. So I'm going to have both of my feet on the mat, and my knees are pointing over to the right, and my feet are to the left. And we start with a side bend over to the left, so your left hip comes up off the floor, the left sit bone. As we side bend, the right arm reaches up and over, we side bend to the left. And then you just kind of swivel on your feet and take your knees the other way. So now your knees are pointing to the left and you're side bending to the right. So you're just going to go back and forth like this. Just roll from one sit bone to the other. Knees go the opposite direction. Side bend towards your back leg. And then just go back and forth like this. So just kind of, we're starting to slowly scoot ourselves up the mat a little bit. You're just shifting from one sit bone to the other. Coming into this side bend. You're sort of windshield wipering the knees. Let's do a couple more times. Going nice and slow. Exhale as you transition. Inhale when you side bend. Now, next time we're in this Z shape with our knees to the right. Let's start with our side bend. We're going to do a little strengthening work here for this very outer hip, the left hip. So you're going to line your torso up over your right thigh, and then take your left knee back so it's about perpendicular to your body. So if your torso is facing over the right leg, your legs are going to be in an L shape perpendicular to each other. So we just don't want this left knee coming forward. Keep the knee either in line with the side hip, at the hip socket, or slightly back. You just try to keep your upper body weight upright, and then just lift and lower this whole left leg in the knee bend. Try not to shift your upper body to the right too much. It's going to do that a little bit. But if you can stay upright mostly, it's going to also get into the obliques on this left side. And you're getting into the side hip. And I can already tell my left knee is really wanting to come forward. So I'm working really hard to keep it back. Keeping the knee bent, the ankle flexed, you just lift this whole leg up as a single unit. So it's not just the knee, it's not just the foot, it's both at the same time. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and then just come back onto both of your hips, both of your sit bones, and cross your forearms. Hold on to the inner edge of your shins and just let your upper body and your spine just sink back. So we're stretching out through the outer arms and especially through the muscles around the shoulder blades, the inner edge of the shoulder blades. Let your chin just tuck in. Come up, cross your forearms the other way. And then just let yourself just lean back. Let your arms get long. Let your head just tilt down. And rise yourself up. Bring the hands behind you. Yes, I know we still need to do that sequence on the other side. We're just doing a little detour. Hands on the floor behind you. Fingers are turned out. Let's lift up through the heart. So keep the hips down, but you're lifting your sacrum, and you're lifting your lumbar spine, and you're lifting your heart. Pin your elbows back. And then scoot yourself back to the back of your mat again. This time, knees point to the left, and both of your feet are on the floor. So we're just going to do that very slow motion, windshield wipering side to side as we start to scoot forward. Scooting forward is just going to happen. You don't really have to work on it. It'll happen on its own. Start with the side bend over to the right. I can bring my left hand over to, the right hand over to the left knee as I side bend to the right. And then I switch my legs the other way. And I side bend over the left leg. So just going back and forth takes a little bit of core work, not a great deal, a little bit of core work to control the movement of your legs during this transition. Try to stay mostly upright in your upper body. And it's a side bend. When you get all the way up into position, this right hip's going to come up off the floor as we side bend over to the right. It's a little bit of a twist too. Shifting the knees to the right, side bend up and over to the left. Just going back and forth like this. I think we just have about 2 more times, 1 more with each on each side. So here we are to the right last time. And to the left, and we'll stay here. You just finish off this side bend. And then we'll set up for this work that's going to work this outer right hip. It's a pretty small area, a little muscle group here in the outer right hip. So we're going to start by lining our belly button over this left thigh. The knee is bent. And then you take your right leg just a little bit farther back. So if you're turning towards your left thigh, and you kind of peek out over your right leg, the thighs should both be perpendicular to each other. And we just don't want this right leg coming forward. Okay, it stays in line with the hip socket or back, preferably back. We try to just use our muscular strength to hold our body upright. You can lean over to the side and rest in your hand, and that's fine, but that's not going to do anything at all for your obliques. So if you can, just use your own muscle strength to stay up, and then just lift and lower your whole right leg as one unit. So the knee stays bent, flex through the ankle, and you're lifting the knee and the foot at the same time, same height, and you'll notice this right knee is really going to want to come forward. In fact, if you do that once, you'll notice you can do this all day long. It does absolutely nothing, hardly. I guess if you did it for 5 minutes, you'd feel something. But the more the leg is behind you, the more you're going to feel this right in the outer hip, outer glute, maybe a little into the outer thigh. A little bit, just not very much weight at all in your left hand, keeping yourself upright. One more time. And then rotate back around through center. Okay. And let's roll ourselves down onto the back. Just hug the legs in towards you. Interlace your fingers, reach your arms back, push your palms towards the wall behind you, extend your legs up, rotate your feet around in circles. Rotate them around the other way. And then take your legs out wide. I'm just going to shift so I don't kick my wall. Take your legs out wide into a V shape. And bring your hands onto your inner thighs. So your hands are like sandbags. I'm actually going to turn myself all the way around. There we go. So your hands are just resting on your inner thighs like sandbags. You're just letting this inner thigh area lengthen out. Okay, bend your knees and just let's wrap the right thigh over the left. Take your shins wide and slide your hands down towards your ankles. Maybe they don't come all the way to the ankles, maybe they just come to the mid-shin, depending on the flexibility of your outer hips, especially this right outer hip. Keep the ankles flexed. If you are more flexible, you can hold on to the outer edges of your feet. One more breath. So we're going to keep our legs crossed like this with the right thigh over. If you can, hold on to both ankles. We're going to start to slowly lower our legs over to the left, and bring the right foot down. I'm going to hold on to the top of the left foot and bring it under me and try to bring the whole right side of my back down, the right shoulder blade. So it's a bit of a twist. It's a pretty big IT band stretch on this right side. So I'm pressing the sole of the right foot down, pointing the knee up. And holding the left foot under you with your right hand is optional if you can. If not, let that go. Most of the work is not really in the left quad, that's just a little bit. It's mostly in this right IT band, which is a band that connects the outer knee all the way down to the outer hip on the right side. So I'm pushing the foot down, pointing the knee up, and then trying to bring my whole back down to the floor. Your right hip will be up. That's what is creating a little bit of a twist element. And then let's bring the legs back up. All right, unwind, and left thigh wraps over the right. And then just widen your shins, bring your hands down towards your ankles, or maybe even holding on to the tops of your feet. Some days in my hips, some days I'm more flexible than others. Today is not one of my more flexible days, so I'm choosing to not hold on to my feet today. If you do try to overdo it, stretching the hips, it'll end up creating strain in other joints in the body, so in particular the knees or even the ankles. So if you try to overdo the stretch in your hips, those other joints are going to volunteer to help out. We don't want them to help because then we'll potentially injure them. So just notice where your limitations are and just let it be. So we're going to bring this whole thing over to the left. So I'm going to hold on to the top of my right foot with my left hand, and then come down onto the right hip, and the left foot is on the floor. Sorry, did I say we're bringing this to the left? I meant we're bringing it to the right. So we're coming onto the right hip, the left hip is up a little bit, and I've got the left foot all the way on the floor with that knee pointing up, and I'm trying to bring my entire back down. The left hip will be up, and the more the left knee can point up, the more you will, hopefully, the intent anyway, is that you feel this in the IT band. It's this strong, sinewy, very tough tendon that connects the outer knee to the outer hip on the left side. It's typically or commonly a source of knee pain. If this tendon is chronically tight, if you're a runner perhaps, if this is chronically tight, then it'll manifest as pain in the knee. So let's release this side and come back up. All right, I'm just going to rotate myself around to face the proper way on my mat. You're just on your back. And I will find a proper twist. So bent knees are bent. Take your knees over to the right. And reach out through the arm. Let's do something a little different with this twist this time. This got a little bit more somatic work to it. I'm adjusting my headset on my right hip. All right, so let's bring the left hand to the back of the head. So the legs are over to the right, your right arm is out to the side, and you have your head resting in your left hand. So let's inhale here. You'll feel a little bit of a stretch through this left chest and shoulder. Exhale, point your elbow up and turn and bring your elbow over to the right. So you're coming into the fetal position. You let your head rest on your right arm. And then inhale, open up, taking your elbow out and your head down. And exhale, just turning from your head, just low, bring your elbow over to the right, fetal position. And inhale, take the elbow back out into your twist. And exhale, back over to the right. And inhale, open out into the twist. And you can release your head, release your left arm. Bring your knees back up and place the feet down. All right, lift your feet back up. Lower your legs over to the left. And bring the right hand behind your head. Your elbow is bent. Oh, just enjoying this stretch through the right side of the chest and shoulder here for a moment. This will be your inhale position. And then exhale, you just roll over into the fetal position, bring your elbow to the left, let the head rest on the left arm. Inhale, open back out, coming into the twist, elbow to the right. Exhale, bring your elbow to the left in the fetal position. And even point the elbow down a little bit. And then inhale, open it back out into your twist. One more time. Exhale, just coming into the fetal position, point the elbow to the left and then even down. And then inhale, open out to the right. And you can release the hand, take the arm out long, pause here. And bring the knees back up and place the feet down. Good, just hug the legs in towards you. Final position here. We just want to find something symmetrical before we extend ourselves out into Shavasana. And then release your legs, take them forward. And let your legs soften down. And if there's any gripping in your lower back, any tension, then you can bring some kind of lift under your knees. A rolled up blanket is nice, a bolster if you have it. Let everything relax. Check that your shoulder blades are symmetrical under you, your hips are even underneath you. Let yourself soften down. Let the breath just be natural, smooth, and steady. Soften through the abdomen and let your abdomen even receive your breath. How much can you relax your body? Relax through the shoulders, let the head be supported by the floor. Let the bones of your pelvis just be heavy on the floor. You can soften through your hands and your fingers. And the more you relax the physical body, the more you also drop your awareness down into the very center of yourself. Start to observe yourself from the inside out. Let's do 3 more breaths. Start to deepen your breath, start to move in your fingers and toes, circle through the wrists, move around your feet, reach your arms towards the wall behind you and get a long stretch through the left side, through the right side. Bend your knees, feet to the floor, roll over onto one side, please. And press yourself up to seated. Okay. Once you get there, hands come to the heart. So thank you, yogis, for joining me for this class today. I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.